Hi everybody, welcome to lab number 4. Configure server-based AAA authentication for console and VTY lines using TACACS Server. So here, it same like previous lab. So we need authentication for console port and VTY lines. But here what we are going to do means, we are going to use the TACACS server we are going to use. So what is a TACACS server? So TACACS stands for Terminal Access Controller Access Control System Plus. I repeat, Terminal Access Controller Access Control System Plus. So this is a protocol developed by Cisco proprietary protocol, and this protocol is used for AAA, that means for authentication, authorization, and accounting. And here we need a separate server here. So this is a server based protocol. If you see in the previous one, we used AAA, but that AAA is going to be inside a device. You can configure inside your router. You can configure the AAA framework inside your switch. So inside a particular device, you can configure that. But here, we are going to have a separate server. So the server is going to be the TACACS server, and this is completely, it is going to do only the authentication. Okay, so this is a brief introduction about the concept TACACS. Now, in our topology diagram, in this topology, I'm going to make this server as a TACACS server, and this server is going to do all the authentication. So suppose if anybody wants to enter into this router by using telnet, okay, that means the line VTY. By using line VTY, if anybody wants to enter this router means now it will be verified in the TACACS server. Okay, so the TACACS server will authenticate. It will authenticate the login credentials. Once authenticated, then the user is allowed to access this router. The same, we are going to have a console here. So if anybody wants to do a console access, so automatically the authentication will be done by the TACACS server. So authentication will be done here in a separate server. So once the user is authenticated, then the user is allowed to enter, okay, the device, or the user can access the device, okay, whatever it is. Now, step number 1. So first step is configure the Dacas server. Okay, we have to configure. So I'm going for the device, and before that, I'm not doing any IP configuration. It is already configured. Okay, I'm using the same topology. So you have to configure the IP address. You have to enable the routing protocol, and you can check that connectivity. Okay, from one device to another device. So that will be always safe. Now, let me go to the PC 0. I'm going to give a ping command. Okay, so go to the desktop, command prompt. So I'm going to give a ping command, ping. The IP address of the server is 10.0.0.1. Okay, this is the IP address of the server. So let me try. Okay, I'm just gave a ping command. Now you can see. So we are getting the reply. So ping is successful. So the same thing. Let me go to the server. I'm going to the desktop, command prompt. So from the command prompt, so let me give a ping command to 40.1. So ping 40.0.0.1. Okay, so I'm giving a ping command. I'm getting the reply. So everything is working fine. Now, let me start the first step. Step number 1, configure the TACACS Plus server. So go to the server. For the server, we already fixed the IP address. Okay, I'm going to show the IP address to you. So let me go to the IP configuration. So the IP address is 10.0.0.1. Okay, so already IP address, subnet mask, default gateway, everything is ready. So we no need to assign. Okay, no need to repeat that step. Now, so let me go to the services. Okay, I'm going to the services. So in the services, I'm going for AAA. Okay, so I'm going for the AAA authentication, authorization, and account. So now, so here we have to configure. It is already off. You can see the AAA is off. So I'm going to make it on. Okay, I want to make it on, and it is okay. I'm just going to click it on. There. The next one is we have to give two different types of information we have to give. Okay, what does that means? The first one is a client information, that is called the network configuration. Then the next one is going to be the user setup. Okay, these are the two important things you have to create here. Now, I'm going for the network configuration first. Okay, the network configuration. So in the network configuration, who is going to be the client? So to whom we have to do the authentication. So that must be configured here. Now, I want to do the client name. So what is the name of the client? Okay, or who is going to be your client? So the client is going to be router 1. Okay, so this is the router. The router 1 is going to be my client. What is IP address of the client? Okay, what is IP address of the client? So the client IP address is, you can see 20.0.0.2, 20, sorry, 10.0.0.2, 20.0.0.1. So you can take any IP address. So let me take 10.0.0.2. Okay, so this is IP address. Then, so what is a password? So this is okay, like secret means this is going to be a shared key. Okay, so this will be used for encrypting the data. So now I'm going to use, let it be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is going to be the secret key. Then, so what is the server type? There are two different types of servers available. One is the Radius and second one is the TACACS. So both are very popular. Okay, authentication server. You might have studied about this Radius also in many courses. Okay, in TACAS also. So I'm going to choose, okay, a TACAS authentication. I'm going to choose the server type. Then, so this information I'm going to add it here. So our client. So that means for the Tacas server, so who is a client means the router is going to be the client. Then the next step is you have to create a username and password. And this username and password you have to remember. Okay, because by using this username and password only, it will be authenticated. Anybody enters into your router will be authenticated only by this. So now I'm going for the username. So let it be admin. Admin is the name of the user. You can have any username, so there is no problem. So I'm just going to make it a very simple one. Okay, too easy to remember. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is a password I'm giving. Okay, and already we gave the key here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let me change. Okay, so both are different, but anyway, A B C D E. Okay, so admin is a username, ABCD is a password. Okay, so let me just add it. So we created both the setup, that means we configured the network configuration and also the user setup we completed. So this is the step number 2. So step number 2, step number 1, configure the Tacas server as shown below. Then the next one, configure a backup local database entry called admin in router 1. Okay, so we have to configure a backup local database entry. Okay, so what does that means? Let me go to the router 1. So go to the CLI command line interface. So we are in the command line interface now. Okay, now the first thing is enable enable config terminal. So let me change the name of the router. Okay, so I'm going to change the name of the router host and I'm going to make this as a OR1. Okay, so router 1. Then the next one is you have to create a username. Okay, you can see configure a backup local database entry called admin. Okay, so why I'm going to use the admin means we already created admin in our server. So the same username I'm going to create here. So the command is username. Okay, so username we already created in the server the same username I'm going to create here, admin. So secret, so the password is going to be A B C D E. Okay, this is the password. Okay, so I created the local backup local database entry. Then so the next one, configure Tacas plus server specifies on the router 1. So what does that means? So we have to tell here. Okay, that means in the server I define who is your client. The same thing here, I want to define who is our server. Okay, so in the router I'm going to define who is the server. Now the next step is Tacas TACAS ACS. Suppose if you are having any doubts, so you can just after TACACS server, you can give a question mark and you can see. Okay, now host. So who is the host? So the host is the IP address of our server. So the host is going to be 10.0.0.1. Okay, so this is going to be my host. Then between the host, that means between the server and the router, everything is going to be encrypted. Okay, it should be encrypted. Okay, whatever the transaction happening, whatever the data transmission takes place, it should be encrypted. So I'm going to use a key. So Tacas, okay, so TAC ACS, so Tacas server. I'm going to use the key. Okay, you can give a question mark and you can check. So the next one is going to be the key. You can use the key. So what is the key we fixed means we fix the key 1 2 3 4 5. So 1 2 3 4 5 is the key. So in the router, I'm defining who is our server and what is the key. Okay, what is the shared key, secret key to be used. Okay, so this is going to be the step number 3. Then step number 4. I'm going for step number 4. So what is the step number 4 means? Configure AAA authentication for console access. Then console access on router 2. Okay, I'm not doing it on router 2. Let me do it on router 1 itself. Okay, so now I'm going for this same router. So in the same router, I'm going to configure. Okay, I'm going to configure AAA authentication for console access. So how to define? Okay, before that, we have to create the model here. Okay, so I'm going to create the model AAA new model. Okay, so I'm creating it to AAA new model, and this new model is going to be based on the Tacas plus. So this is going to be a very important command. So AAA authentication. So this command we have done in the previous lab, even in the previous lab. Okay, authentication login. So whenever anybody log in into this, so I'm going for a default. Okay, so default group. Okay, this is a command group. Okay, so you can just give a question mark and you can see group. You can choose radius or Tacas, but here we are going to concentrate on the Tacas. So TAC ACS plus. So Tacas plus and local. So this is the model. We created the model and we say the model is going to be the AAA authentication. Okay, using Tacas plus. Okay, so this is we have to define. Then the next one is you can go for the line console and you can tell. Okay, that means this is going to be the default authentication. Then go to the line VTY and you are going to say okay the default authentication. Now, so let me go for the line console. Line console. Okay, 0. Now we have to define what is the authentication method. So login authentication method is going to be the default method. So this is going to be default method. Then the next one. So the next one, configure the line VTY to use the defined AAA authentication model. So that means we have to go for the line VTY and we have to enable the login authentication. So now I'm going for the line VTY 0 to 4. So here I'm going to define what is the authentication method. So login authentication. So the authentication method is going to be the default. Okay, default authentication. That means whatever we created. So we have completed all the configuration. So configurations are over. So let us verify. Okay, we have to verify the connections. So let me just exit. I'm going to quit from all the. Okay, so I just quit from everything. Now I'm going for PC 0. From PC 0, I'm going to make a remote login to this machine. Okay, that means to this router. Okay, by using telnet. And we are going to check how the authentication is going. So let me go to PC 0. I'm going for the command prompt. So from the command prompt, I'm going to give telnet. Okay, 10.0.0.2. Okay, so I'm just going to trying to enter into the router. So now it is requesting me to give the username. Okay, so what is the username means? Admin. So admin is a username. So password is going to be A, B, C, D, E. Okay, this is going to be the password. Now you can see I enter into the router 1.